749 Saint John of Damascus, Syrian monk, priest and theologian, dies. 765 Jafar al-Sadiq, Muslim scholar and scientist, dies at 63. 811 Charles the Younger, King of the Franks, son of the Emperor Charlemagne, dies at about 39. In 1075 Archbishop Anno Roman II of Cologne. In 1131 Omar Khayyám, Persian mathematician, cubic equations, astronomer, Jalali calendar, basis of the Persian calendar, poet, quatrains, and philosopher, dies at 83. In 1182 Henry, Earl of Dillers-Lutfin 1141 79-82, dies. In 1214 William the Lion, King of Scotland 1165-1214. In 1270 Theobald V of Champagne, King of Navarre. In 1334 Pope John Roman XXII 1316-1334, dies at about 90. In 1340 Henry Burghersh, English Bishop and Chancellor b. 1292. In 1371 Reinald Roman III, the Fat Duke, Duke of Gelder 1343-61, dies at 38. In 1371 Stefanus X Uros V, King of Serbia 1355-71, dies. In 1459 Adolf Roman VIII, Duke of Southern Jutland b. 1401. In 1514 Richard Hunne, English heretic, commits suicide. In 1567 Seble Wongel, Ethiopian Empress, Queen Consort of Dawit II, Dowager Empress and Regent who led forces at the Battle of Baçente, dies. In 1574 Rheticus Georg Joachim de Porris, Italian-Austrian mathematician, trigonometric tables, astronomer, physician, and cartographer, dies at 60. Some sources date death as Dec 5, 1576. In 1585 John Willock, Scottish reformer. In 1603 Maarten de Vos, Flemish painter, dies at about 71. In 1609 Alexander Hume, Scottish poet, hymns and sacred songs, dies. In 1642 Armand du Plessis de Richelieu, French statesman and Cardinal Chief Minister to Louis Roman XIII 1624-42, dies at about 57. In 1649 Outgert Arisz Akersloot, Dutch silversmith, dies at about 73. In 1649 William Drummond of Hawthornden, Scottish poet, dies at 63. In 1676 Johann Georg Ebeling, German composer, dies at 39. In 1680 Thomas Bartholin, Danish physician, mathematician, and theologian, discovered the lymphatic system, dies at 64. In 1696 Meisha Keiko, 109th Empress of Japan 1629-43 and 7th woman to rule Japan, dies at 72. In 1732 John Gay, English poet and dramatist, the Beggar's Opera, dies at 47. In 1798 Luigi Galvani, Italian anatomist and physicist, animal electricity, gave the term galvanize, dies at 61. In 1807 Prince Hall, activist, Masonic leader, dies in Boston. In 1836 Daniel Reed, American composer, dies at 79. In 1884 Alice Mary Smith, British composer, dies at 45. In 1893 Allan Wilson, British Rhodesian Major, dies in battle against the Infidels during First Matabele War. In 1893 Heinrich Göbel, German-American mechanic and inventor incandescent lamps, dies at 75. In 1893 John Tyndall, Irish physicist who demonstrated why the sky is blue and proved that the Earth's atmosphere has a greenhouse effect, dies at 73. In 1902 Charles Dow, American journalist and economist, co-founded Dow Jones and first editor of Wall Street Journal, dies at 51. In 1909 Paul Albert Besnard, French painter and graphic artist L, dies at 60. In 1915 Gustav Holländer, German violinist, conductor and composer, dies at 60. In 1926 Ivana Kobelka, Slovenian-born painter b. 1861. In 1932 Gustav Meyrink, writer, dies at 64. In 1933, Stefan Georg, German poet Das Neue Reich, dies at 65. In 1935, Charles Richet, French physiologist, Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 1913 for work on anaphylaxis, dies at 85. In 1935, Hilton Phillotson, English cricket wicketkeeper, 5 tests, 11 dismissals, dies at 69. In 1935, Johann Halvorsen, Norwegian violinist, conductor, National Theatre Orchestra, 1899-1929, and composer Birgit Zahner, dies at 71. In 1938, Dina Apeldoorn, Dutch classical pianist and composer, dies at 54. In 1938, Hamanashiki Sanemon, Japanese sumo wrestler, 32nd Yokozuna, winner 9 top division YSH, dies following a delayed appendectomy at 34. In 1943, Carlo Mierendorf, German politician and anti-fascist, dies at 46. In 1944, Roger Bresnahan, American Baseball Hall of Fame catcher, outfielder and manager, World Series 1905 NY Giants, St. Louis Cardinals, first Shin Guards and batting helmet, dies at 65. In 1945, Thomas Hunt Morgan, American evolutionary biologist, geneticist and embryologist, Nobel Prize 1933, dies at 79. In 1948, Karl Bonhoeffer, German psychiatrist and neurologist, resisted Nazis' Action T4 extermination campaign, dies at 80. In 1951, Pedro Salinas, Spanish writer, generation of 1927, dies at 61. In 1952, James E. Norris, Canadian Hockey Hall of Fame team owner, Detroit Red Wings, dies at 72. In 1952, Karen Horney, German-American neo-Freudian psychoanalyst, dies at 67. In 1953, Daniel Gregory Mason, American composer, chanticleer, dies at 80. In 1954, Nina Vazar, Russian scientist and wife of Russian composer Dmitry Shostakovich, dies at about 46. Birth date uncertain. C. 1908. In 1956, Alexander Rodchenko, Russian painter, photographer, and graphic artist, co-founder of constructivism, dies at 64. In 1958, Red Murray, American baseball outfielder, NL home run leader 1909 NY Giants, dies of acute leukemia at 74. In 1959, Rosetta Duncan, American vaudevillian Duncan sisters, actress Topsy and Eva, and songwriter Rememberin. Dies in an auto accident at 65. American comic and actor The Wizard of Oz Lion, dies of cancer at 72. In 1967, Harry Wismer, American sports broadcaster, NBC Blue Network, ABC, voice of Washington Redskins and AFL team owner New York Titans, dies after a fall at 54. In 1969, Alceo Toni, Italian arranger, Vivaldi's Four Seasons for piano, 4 hands, composer, Elegia Quintet, and musicologist, dies at 85. In 1969, Fred Hampton, American activist, Black Panther Party leader, Rainbow Coalition co-founder, shot and killed by the FBI and Chicago police at 21. In 1971, Shunryu Suzuki, Zen monk and teacher, founder of San Francisco Zen Center, popularized Zen Buddhism in the U.S., dies at 67. In 1973, Alfred Fuller, Canadian-American businessman Fuller,